Ayan is saying, Armin, Iran still hasn't developed their nuclear weapons yet? Question mark. Why is it taking so long? And how much time is remaining? What? Why do you? Why are you like? You sound like you're eager. You know how devastating that would be. I mean, first of all, we're not even. The question right now is not is not nuclear weapons yet. Okay, so I don't know. I don't even know where to start. Right now, we're in the middle of Vienna talks, which is about the past couple of years, the whole deal, the JCPOA, and leaving the JCPOA, which is the nuclear deal that a whole bunch of countries had with Iran, and then leaving the JCPOA by Trump, and now trying to get back to it based on the talks in Vienna by Biden, has been whether or not Iran could get nuclear power. Okay, so we know that Iran wants the ability to have nuclear weapons. This is something a lot of people don't believe, but all of these discussions was all of these deals and everything was about whether or not Iran could have nuclear power, not nuclear weapons. Okay, so I mean, how do I even answer your question? The reason why Iran hasn't developed nuclear weapons yet, because that would be the end of them. If they had nuclear weapons right now, the whole world would be united against them. This is not something the world would tolerate. The world is like questioning whether they're going to tolerate an Iran with nuclear energy. That's the question here. Of the world is unanimous in agreeing. The world politics is unanimous in agreeing that Iran shouldn't have nuclear weapons. Okay, so I think your question should be changed to nuclear energy. And if that's your question, the reason why Iran doesn't have nuclear energy yet is because they haven't because Iran hasn't been able to go back to the JCPOA deal, which would allow it to have nuclear energy under very strict restrictions, under observation by an international body, by observers from the IAEA, which makes it difficult for them to have nuclear weapons, right? But even the countries that act like they're pro the Islamic Republic in these deals try to support Iran into getting back to the deal, like let's say like countries like China and Russia. They also all agree and terrified about an Iran that would have nuclear weapons. Nobody wants that. I mean, nobody other than some of the Ayatollahs, right? And that would be suicidal. It would be suicidal for Iran to openly have nuclear weapons. What makes sense for the Iranian government is to get to a position where the world knows that they have the capability of having nuclear weapons without actually having nuclear weapons, right? So think about the advantages of having nuclear weapons. It has a deterring effect. Nobody would attack you if you have nuclear weapons. But if Iran had nuclear weapons, it would get the benefits of deterrence, but it would also unite the entire world against it. If the world notices that you're moving towards actually getting a nuclear weapon, an attack on the country would be a lot more supported. Even the most passive countries would all of a sudden support that. So if you're moving towards having a nuclear weapon and you don't have the nuclear weapon yet, that would be suicidal. You might get the whole world attacking you, right? So you see the benefits of having a nuclear weapons, but the cons of trying to get a nuclear weapons, right? So how, if you were the Islamic Republic of Iran, how would you get the benefits of having the deterrence factor of a nuclear weapon, but not all the costs of having a nuclear weapon? You will create a situation where you have all the missiles that you could put a nuke on, and you would have all the uranium and the enriching facilities and everything you need to build a nuclear weapon, but not actually have a nuclear weapon, but make it obvious that if you wanted to have one, it would take a week for you to have one, right? If you create that, if the Islamic Republic can create that situation, then you have all the deterring effects of having a nuclear weapon. But because you don't actually have a nuclear weapon, all the cons would also not be there. So that would be the ideal situation for the Islamic Republic of Iran. Let me know if that makes sense. Okay. No, I am. Oh, I am. No, it's saying I should just shut up. No, I am. No, no, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it like that. Okay, okay. No, no, no. I didn't mean it like that. I'm so sorry. No, no. I shouldn't assume. Okay, you know what? I'm sorry, Ian. Not everybody follows the news like a lot, some of us do here. You should be able to come and ask these questions, even if they're not. Okay, so I'm sorry. I shouldn't have made you feel like you're uninformed. Okay, this is even if it's okay. Not everybody has time to always follow everything that is happening in world affairs. Okay, don't be upset that you don't know the details of these things. It's okay. You could come here. This was my mistake. Okay, this was my mistake. I just I have a lot of time to look these things up. And not everybody has all the time. Okay, there's other things that are important in life to do, that to go and do. Um, and it's okay. You could come here and I will answer questions. Even if you haven't followed it, I'll try to answer my best. Sorry if I made you feel like that. I'm so sorry. Well, let me see. Can you forgive me for talking to you like that? Okay, you're saying yes, it makes total sense. Okay, okay. But I apologize for acting like making you feel bad for not knowing what you did know. Okay, no, actually your question was very important. um I really appreciate that you asked that question, because sometimes it's important to go back to the basics. Okay. And you come here and you ask these questions, and it helps me to go back to the basics and cover the basics. Okay. Can you forgive me for asking for talking to you like that? Oh, okay, okay, that's good, good. Okay, thank you. I am saying it's okay. All right. No, please keep asking these questions. Right? So you're saying, but it was it's all of this is happening. It's very so. I'm gonna spend more time on Ian's question now because of this. Okay, Ian's saying, but Armin, they're really slow. Okay, see, now you're saying something that makes a lot of sense. Yes, they're very, very slow. Okay, so let me tell you why. So let me change your question. Your question said nuclear weapons, but let's change your question to nuclear energy. Okay, because nobody is trying to allow the Islamic Republic to have nuclear weapons. They're trying to see whether or not they want to allow the Islamic Republic of Iran to have nuclear energy, not nuclear weapons. Okay, so if we change your question to energy instead of weapons, and now you're asking why is it so slow, that's a very good question. Okay, the reason why the negotiation between Iran and other countries on whether or not they are allowed to have nuclear energy has stalled right now is on one very specific question: whether the IRGC, okay, the IRGC is a part of the Islamic Republic of Iran, which is a military branch of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Okay, it's an ideology. So Iran has two armed forces. One of them is the Artesh, and the other one is IRGC. The IRGC is the more ideological one. They're more religious, crazy wacko one. Okay, that has been designated as a radical group. Okay, it starts with the T. I don't terrorist. I don't say the word because YouTube might flag us if we keep saying that. Okay, so it's been designated as one of those terrorist groups, and by the United States, and I think rightfully so. Okay, but Iran's government wants that designation to be removed, for them not to be considered a terrorist group. Okay, and the United States, including both Republicans and Democrats, are like, this is too much of an ask. Iran's government is saying, well, this is our red line. You have to remove the IRGC from this list for us to go back to the deal. And United States is saying, no way, no way, Jose, like no way, not at all. Like both of them are saying this is the red line. So this is the major sticking point right now to see if the deal is going to go through or not. Okay. um yeah, so does that make sense? and it's kind of too much of an ask by the Islamic Republic of Iran, because this has nothing to do with the first JCPOA deal, and any sanction that the Biden administration wants to remove from Iran in exchange for the nuclear deal, they want it to be sanctions that they remove that helps the Iranian people. Okay. But if they remove the sanctions on IRGC, if they say like, okay, fine, the IRGC is not part of this list anymore, and they remove the sanctions from IRGC, these are going to be sanctions that they're removing that is going to help a radical group. It's going to make these radical groups more funded rather than actually helping the Iranian people. So the Biden administration is going to look very, very, very bad. So right now the Biden administration is stuck between a rock and a hard place, right? Because if they don't get back to a deal with Iran, they're going to be people are like, you promised that you're going to go back to the deal with Iran and you didn't, right? So they're like, okay, so but they don't. But at the same time, if they remove the IRGC from this list, remove sanctions from IRGC, people, that's going to also look very bad from Biden, because this is obviously a very horrible group, and they do very radical activity around the Middle East. And now they're going to be more funded. So either way, Biden is going to look very, very bad no matter what they do. So they're trying to pressure the Iran's government to accept going back to this deal without removing IRGC from the list. I hope that made sense. Ian is saying yes. Okay, good.
Hey guys, if you want to join these streams live, get your comments and questions read by Ali and Armin and the guests, and most importantly, to get full access to the full video versions of all these episodes, become a patron. Link in the description below.